Good morning, Bitcoin. Today is Thursday, August 17th, 2017. My name is Thomas Hunt, and here's what's happening today in Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin was up 8% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 44.39, a high of 44.48, and a low of 41.07. Our top story today, FUD from CNBC. This is how you FUD. You say, another major country joins China and Japan. You could say, Australia. Australia joins China and Japan in cracking down on Bitcoin exchanges. Cracking down, you could say, regulating. Australia will be joining China and Japan in regulating Bitcoin exchanges. Not a big deal. Bitcoin price reaches new all-time high of over $4,500. Way to go, Bitcoin. Major newspapers notice Bitcoin growth and advocate buying. What's a newspaper? Not sure what that is. And finally, we have some rumors today. A rumor from the Poloniex forum. Remember, this is just a rumor. Says that there may be a vulnerability in Poloniex that may have been sold and could allow you to bypass the 2FA. If you have funds in Poloniex, be careful. But then again, this is just a rumor. Don't take any crazy action. We've also heard that Zap, the open source Lightning wallet, has open sourced their code. Congratulations to Zap. Great job. We hope to see some new Lightning wallets soon. We heard a rumor that North Korea is mining Bitcoin at the state level, according to Bobby Lee on Twitter, the CEO of BTCC. This rumor was published on August 17th. That's today. Of course, an article was published last month on July 27th saying the same thing. So it's not really much of a rumor. We're also joined by Jimmy Song for a check of Bitcoin scaling. How's it going, Jimmy?
It's going great. It looks like we are on track for an August 23rd SegWit activation. It does seem like some of the hash power is going to Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash is also about scheduled to have a difficulty adjustment right around the same time. So August 22nd, 23rd, 24th, around then is going to be a very interesting time for both coins. And we'll, will there be more hashing power on one or the other? That's going to be very interesting. Also, SegWit 2X threw down the gauntlet. They are going to have a hard fork sometime in November. We already know the block number. It's 144 times 90 blocks after SegWit activation. That it should take about 90 days from August 23rd or so, which puts us in the November 18th area, which is what I've been predicting for a while now. So that's going to be very interesting. There's a lot of people pontificating on what that means and how it's going to play out. That's certainly going to be something to watch pretty closely, especially with Bitcoin Cash and how that's worked out, and difficulty adjustment and all this other stuff. Where's the hash power going to go? In many ways, Bitcoin Cash is a very good example of what might happen later. But then again, like, people may have learned some game theory things during this round, so they may act a little bit differently next round. Yeah, that's about it for today.
So it's possible we'll have a third Bitcoin.
I think it's looking pretty likely at this point. The way they sort of, I mean, this is what you would call in game theory a credible threat. They are saying, hey, we are definitely forking in 90 days. There's a big argument over replay protection. It looks like they won't have any, which means that it's going to be kind of dangerous, especially for exchanges to support it, which means that, somebody else is going to have to come up with a solution to replay protection, like sort of mixing your coins with a transaction that's not on the other chain or something like that. I'm probably going to have to write a dozen more articles on exactly how to do that, which is going to be awesome. But yeah, there's going to be significant upheaval on all this. But it speaks to how anti-fragile Bitcoin is, because all this chaos and turmoil is actually causing the price to go up. So it's too bad Tone Vase isn't here, but maybe our next guest will have something to say about that.
Maybe so. And for right now, we're just going to show you the QR code if everyone would like to donate right now and give us a thumbs up and a share. If it's your first time watching the show, please subscribe down below. And we have a very special video for you today. This is the world premiere of Jimmy Song's new SegWit explainer video. which will be going live on the World Crypto Network today. But we just want to give you guys a little taste. Here we go. Oops, we're probably going to start again with more sound in a second here. Let's see. Oh, new fancy things don't work. Good job, Apple. Here we go. We're going to start again.
Understanding SegWit. In order to understand segregated witness, or SegWit for short, we first have to understand a little bit about Bitcoin. Think of Bitcoin as a single global ledger, and a Bitcoin transaction as a bank check. As the owner of some amount of money, you can sign over some of your money to someone else. And much like a bank check, a Bitcoin transaction has a signature. Instead of a physical signature, you can create a digital signature using your private key. A Bitcoin block is like a box of signed checks or transactions. Much like physical boxes in the real world, Bitcoin blocks have a limit on how many transactions they can contain. Right now, those boxes come in a standard 1 megabyte size. You can put just a few checks into the box so that it's almost empty, but you can't overfill the box. To keep the global ledger consistent and cheat-proof, everyone that wants can audit the ledger by auditing these boxes of checks. A copy of the box of checks is sent to anyone that wants to audit the ledger. If, in an audit of these boxes of checks, someone found out that one of the checks overspent, they would reject the box. This is important since otherwise people would start writing bad checks. We also need to audit fairly often so people can actually have a good idea of how much money they have. So we send the boxes of checks to everybody for auditing every 10 minutes. The scaling debate. Because there's a limit to the box size, there's a limit to how many checks that can clear in a timely manner. That is, the throughput of Bitcoin transactions is limited. The scaling debate that's been going on for the past few years in Bitcoin is really about how to get more transactions through the system. The two solutions that groups came up with can be thought of in two ways. The first solution is to make the box sizes bigger. This is great if everybody is forced to use a larger box, but there are some problems with this idea. If, for example, some people kept using the smaller box, they would reject the bigger boxes. This would create two different ledgers. Additionally, even if everyone used the bigger box, a lot of people checking the ledger would not receive the bigger boxes in time to examine that all the checks were valid. 10 minutes is too little time to receive and audit the box for some people. The main advantage of making the box bigger is that it's a relatively simple change. There aren't new style checks to worry about, and everything can operate as before. Bitcoin Cash is essentially using this solution by lifting the 1 megabyte block size limit and implementing an 8 megabyte block size instead. The second solution is to introduce a new style of check, which we will call SegWit. We could still make larger boxes available, but only to those that want them. This new check cuts away the signature part of the check for those receiving the small boxes. In a digital check, the signature takes up about 50% of the transaction. SegWit cuts the checks in half and sends everything but the signature to everyone that's accepting the old, smaller box. We send the entire check, including signatures, to everyone that's accepting the new, larger box. Given that the checks are half the size of the smaller boxes, we can fit about double the number of checks in the smaller boxes, increasing throughput. Anyone that's receiving the larger box could audit everything in the box as normal, and anyone receiving the smaller box could still audit without worrying about getting the signatures in time. Because we're accommodating the people that aren't using the newer, bigger box, SegWit is backwards compatible. That means everyone will have the same copy of the ledger no matter what size box they're using. The main drawback to SegWit is that everyone will have to get used to the new style of checks before we see some gains in throughput. It's also a bit more complicated than just making everyone use a larger box. Additionally, everyone receiving the new style checks but using a smaller box won't get to audit the signature since they won't receive them. Bitcoin is using the new check solution. If you would like to see more videos like this, please donate.
All right, we just ask everyone to donate to this QR code right now on your screen if you like this animation, if you'd like to see more animations like this. As you know, animations do require some funds to create, so we really would appreciate if you could donate. Our goal for this video is to raise around $400. So just to put that in comparison, if you wanted to donate $100, you would donate a fourth of this video. So thank you very much. We're also joined by Richard Hart to get his opinion about the exciting new Blockstream satellites, although he might not be excited. Go ahead, Richard.
I think they're great. I think the satellite project differentiates us from less technically advanced cryptos, and it's worth the buzzword and hype value on its own, even if no one ever uses it. And I think some people will actually use it. You know, I think it would be nice to know that your coins still have tons and tons of value by seeing their UTXOs on the blockchain from anywhere in the world with a relatively affordable, you know, under $100 satellite setup. I think that's pretty neat. Then if you want to send transactions, you can just do it by SMS. So without any internet at all, with just, you know, $100 of satellite and your computer and a telephone, you could transact fully on the Bitcoin network. That's pretty awesome. Then as far as Bitcoin regulations go, they're on the whole very good. If you look at the regulations that get passed, they enable banks to work with us. And then it's like letting someone have sex with your wife. You shouldn't do it because maybe she likes that better, right? Well, it's like banking. Maybe you shouldn't let your clients buy Bitcoin because maybe they'll like it better, right? So basically, Bitcoin regulations are the cuckoldry of crypto taking over fiat. It's kind of cool if you're the crypto. So that's regulations, satellites. Yeah, I guess that's good.
Regulations, satellites, and cuckoldry. It's good to hear the word used in its original meaning again. I do agree with you. Australia was all excited about Bitcoin a few months ago. Now they're regulating it. And obviously, they've told all their people about Bitcoin. And if they can't buy it through the banks and the exchanges, they're going to go to something like local Bitcoins, or maybe their friends, or maybe some kind of dive bar. There's all kinds of ways to get Bitcoin, the more that the governments talk about it. But let's also go to Jimmy Song. Jimmy, what's your opinion on the Blockstream satellites? They're obviously not going to accept Bcash.
Well, it's a really cool project. It does sort of let you get a current status of the blockchain, even if your internet is down, which is a really nice property. I always thought it would be radio waves first, because that makes that's a lot easier to do sort of terrestrially. But satellites are even better because you have a lot of different people that can receive it that wouldn't necessarily have access to even certain radio waves. So this is great. But remember, this is only on the receiving end. You still have to send transactions. And there was an interesting project somebody posted not too long ago using SMS. I sent it out as part of my Bitcoin Tech Talk newsletter. Please subscribe if you haven't. But yeah, that's between those two things, you should be able to do everything. People are pointing out it's centralized, whatever. But this is just one source among many, and you shouldn't rely on it because they may be able to lie to you. Though, with proof of work, there's always, something that's showing. So that's always good. But yeah, these are all good things, makes the entire network stronger as a result.
And every time we talk about space, I get to say, Bitcoin in space, 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 space. But thanks again for everybody for watching. Thanks for Jimmy and Richard for joining us today. And again, if you'd like to donate to the animated video, please use this QR code right here to support more Bitcoin explainer animations. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. And we'll be back tomorrow with the Bitcoin group at 1 p.m. Pacific time, Friday. That's tomorrow. Bye-bye.